Think it's all about the bass, about the bass, about the bass. No treble.
Sing that again?
No. That's what I love about Queen. I mean, it's just those four guys going at it. 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 Lead guitar, bass, and drum, and like little keyboard. You keep adding too much to it, you just muddy up the waters. In my book, I like it simple. Little keyboard. Four guys going at it. Four guys going at it. Four guys going at it. I'm doing good point today. Four guys going at it. 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 I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Love you, Big Al.
I love you too. I enjoy four guys going at it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Office Hours live stream. I am Professor Geek. Yep. Some of you guys are acting like you've never seen that one before, that video. We entered that into the mix a little while ago. I think some of you were really looking for Move That Aspirational, but next week, I hear the audio, I hear the crowd, I hear what you want. So we will give it to you. Welcome, everybody. Great to see you here in this week before Thanksgiving. I am resting a little bit easier because it's Thanksgiving break for me, so I'm happy about that. No classes this coming week, which is always nice. Welcome, Ghost Planet Max Inc. Good to see you there. And let me scroll down to the end of your you're getting it all off your chest, all the geek stuff. Ace Moic, great to see you. Big Al Presents popping in to say hi. Awesome. Don't know if you're still here or not, but great to have you here. You got your stream coming up. Private Eye 10, good to see you there. The Imaginative Hobbyist, welcome. And Eldritch Fam said, happy Thanksgiving. Can't catch the stream live, but you've got a twin, James Rolfe. Oh, you think I look like James Rolfe? Really? Angry Video Game Bro. I love him. He's great. He grew a beard and looks just like you. I think I saw one of his recent thumbnails where he's got a little bit of a beard. You guys think I look like James Rolfe? I never really saw that. He's great though. I love his channel. The whole Cinemassacre thing. Yeah, they're great. The resemblance is truly uncanny. You say, really? I have to hear if other people think that too. But welcome. Thank you, Omega. Happy International Men's Day. I never keep up with that, but it always comes around. I always think about that because they say that men are the primary. I forget what the percentage is because me, I don't remember numbers. But like of all of the suicides throughout the world, it's predominantly men. So yeah, I was trying to think about that on that day. Rogue Disciple, thank you for the super chat and good to see you. Said, Professor, what happened to your videos on Catholic Bible Geek channel? I'm honestly kind of shocked. I didn't know anybody was watching that channel at all. I haven't been able to make another video for it in forever. And you're actually the second person who's mentioned it to me. I guess people still stroll by that channel to take a look. I just I hadn't uploaded it to it in forever, and I got to thinking, is it even? So I just kind of set it to private right now. It's they're still there. I didn't delete the videos, but if you guys if you guys are really wanting them back, which videos in particular? Are you looking for some of the book studies? Because I could make those available again. I was just kind of like putting it on sort of a hiatus until I figured out, if I even have time to do it anymore and stuff. It'd been so long, but it's nice to know people were wanting to watch. Appreciate that. Welcome, Rydia Merchant, Samuel Proctor. Good to see you. Leia Plus Size. Welcome. Michael Skimbody flexing his 10-month membership. So, Prof, do you think of Batman Arkham Asylum and City, not the gameplay? What do I think of it? Not the gameplay, but curious to hear what you think of the stories, character design. I love them. I absolutely love them. Yeah, I've talked about this before. I love talking about the Arkham games. I'm excited to play Arkham Origins again because I play that every year around Christmas. But Arkham Asylum is probably, if I had to pick, that's probably my favorite out of the entire series. Paul Dini wrote, for those who don't know, I know I talk about it from time to time, but Paul Dini wrote the script for Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. The reason why the story just like went everywhere for Arkham Knight is because they didn't get Paul Dini back. Rockstar got way too big for its, or Rocksteady got way too big for its britches and decided we can write the script. And there were some cool things in Arkham Knight. It's not like a crap show all, top to bottom, but it's just not the tight story that it was when you had Dini at the helm, and it very much shows. So I don't really even count. Arkham Knight's like an alternate universe. It's not a trilogy of tightly told stories. No, Arkham Knight, really fun gameplay. It's like another alternate universe or something. In the same way that Arkham Origins, in a way, is kind of an alternate universe. Same theme, same events, but if you look at some of the extra material and whatnot, like some of the collectibles, the recordings you can get, or the backstories on Harley or whatever, there's problems with the continuity between like what you read and what you found out in Arkham Asylum and some of those extras, and then what you find out in like Arkham Origins, and then what you end up finding out in like Arkham Knight, So anyway, Asylum is a wonderful, basically a continuation of Batman the Animated Series. That's what it very much felt like to me. Obviously, because you've got, Paul Dini writing it. But it was a little bit more for adults, though, not something that was just safe for little kids. You wouldn't let a little kid necessarily watch you play Arkham Asylum all the way through. Not that it got like adult nature and was inappropriate. It was just, a little bit more adult level. Arkham City was a great extension of that story and of that universe. I thought it was wonderful. I was very much excited to see what Paul Dini was going to cap it off with, because you could tell he was writing towards a trilogy. And you knew he was going to bring back Scarecrow because you got that Easter egg in Arkham City. And when they announced Arkham Origins, I was very excited because Paul Dini wasn't part of it, but it wasn't like Paul Dini had left. He was just working with Rocksteady, and this was WB Montreal doing Arkham Origins. And they had Jeff Johns really being their story consultant. And I think they told a wonderful story, a wonderful account of how Batman first meets Joker in that universe. Thought it was great. And what a wonderful Christmas, game to play. It's just solid. I really liked it. So many things that Arkham Knight just dropped the ball on, like Firefly supposedly just came at the very beginning of Batman's career in Arkham Origins, and then would disappear, was never around again until like decades and decades later, at the end of his career in Arkham Knight. and people even still remembered him. Like, no, that doesn't work. The whole stupid Barbara with Tim instead of Barbara with Dick is ridiculous. And there were story issues and all kinds of things with that. But anyway, I've given you that spiel before, but it's a topic I like to talk about because I love the Arkham games. Darth Enigma, thank you very much for the $10 super chat. Said I'll be going to Books a Million for my birthday tomorrow. Hit me with some recommendations. I'm going to do that today, actually. That's part of what today's stream is going to be. So I'll get to that in a moment. Yeah. Sit tight. We're getting there. A troll, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Big Al, I played that video. He said, residuals. He wants a cut. If I made any money from it, I would certainly give you a cut from it. Welcome everybody. Yeah, just lots of people here. Lots of people. Let's see. Sure I'm not missing anything. Hey, there's Sound Engraver. She said, I'm up. We both took a nap before the stream, and she didn't get to sleep until after I did. So I was going to cut her a break if she was still snoozing. But great to have you here, my dear. All right. Divinital Kayan, happy belated birthday, Divinital. Said hello and thanks for the birthday wishes yesterday. Absolutely. I hope it was a great birthday for you. You got a birth. I do too, in some sense, but birthdays in this holiday season are so cool. My birthday being in the beginning of September, I feel like that's the kickoff of the finally we're made it through the hell of summer. We're back to the fall is right around the corner. We got the holiday season. Halloween's about to start up. And but yeah, having a birthday anytime in this sort of holiday season is fun. So yeah, happy birthday to you. All right. I think I'm caught up here. So yeah, yeah, no, I agree, Ghost Planet. I don't see Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. I know they tried to put that in the same universe, but no one buys that. You know what I would really like to play though, but it's just so expensive getting the gear. They did that that Batman Arkham game for the virtual reality PlayStation virtual reality thing. I forget what it's called, but the headset you've got to have or whatever. I don't think I would enjoy those games. That sort of interface in general, because it'd mess with the inner ear. Like, I'm all about virtual reality. I think that they should keep working on that tech. It's a cool idea, but I couldn't really get immersed in just the visual of it. If they found some way to like trick your brain into actually feeling it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking about like a brain implant or anything, but your inner ear knows the motion that your body's really doing. And if you're watching a screen that's this way and that way, it gets a lot of people sick, and I think it would do the same for me. So I don't really want to drop all that money on the headset or whatever, but I am very interested in seeing the story that they laid out with that Arkham game. Apparently it was about Batman and the Ratcatcher, and it took place as like previous in the continuity, some point between I think Arkham Origins and Asylum. So I don't know, but yeah, I would like to play that. Michael Scimbati, another super chat. Thank you, sir. Said, I hated the bait and switch, though, in Origins and Knight building up Scarecrow and Black Mask, but they got to be in a service of... Yeah, okay, so you are right. That was, let's just talk about Origins. Well, let's talk about Knight first, you're right. Knight was a bait and switch. I don't hate the idea of Joker being in Batman's head because of the Joker blood and all of that. But it was a cheap shot, hey, this game isn't even about the Joker, guys. And then he's a major part of it, even though he's still dead. Yeah, that was a bait and switch. And yeah, I do understand people who were upset about the bait and switch in Arkham Origins, because they build that as this is going to be Black Mask. He's the villain. Black Mask is the villain. And of course, I mean, spoiler, but if you haven't played Arkham Origins by now, what are you waiting for? It ends up being the Joker masquerading as the Black Mask. He's got the Black Mask, kidnapped or whatever. So Roman Sionis is in the game, and you do have to fight him at some point. But yeah, it was a little bait and switch. I get that, and I understand fully how people can be upset about that in terms of the marketing. Looking back on the product that it ended up being, though, I do like that story, and I love, if Mark Hamill's not going to do the Joker. I forget the name of the guy. Troy Baker, is that his name? Yeah, it sounds right. Who did the Joker? Amazing, did such a good job. really stepped in to those shoes, not trying to mimic perfectly what Mark Hamill did, but do his own spin. And he had done Two-Face, I think, in some of the other games. And yeah, he's a great Joker. And I really like the guy who did Batman in that game, since Kevin Conroy wasn't going to come back. He was still alive at that point. I like what's his name, the guy who did the Assassin's Creed characters and whatnot. Was good. All right. Was I going to say something else a second ago? I don't remember. Michael Skinbody throwing out the money today. Appreciate it. So I heard people say, which I agree with, Asylum and City are a perfect mix of Nolan's realism and the comic book fantastical elements Nolan hated. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree. I don't think I would say it's a mix of Nolan's realism. It's a mix of the grittier, more realistic take that a lot of fans of Nolan say they want. Nolan's realism, though, if you call it that, is just like off the charts. Again, like, how much realism do you think you're owed in a story about superheroes? But I agree with the spirit of what you're saying, definitely. Yeah. So I have one little topic to talk about tonight, because it's Thanksgiving is coming right around the corner here in a few days, and I wanted to chat about that. And then, if you guys have more questions or comments, we can go through that as we get through our hour. What I want to talk about doesn't take me too long, but every year around Thanksgiving, obviously, like most people, I like to think about what I'm thankful for. And since this is a channel about story and geek stuff and whatnot, I like to talk about the things I'm thankful for this year anyway. New content that was released this year only, and I had to cut it, to make sure it was only released this year, because there are things that I would have liked previously. Actually, I did forget one thing. Bear with me one moment. I've got some stuff here to show you, but let me go get something for a second, and I'll be right back. Let me hit the camera. There we go. Forgot one thing to grab. I got my pile over here of stuff to show you, but I forgot one thing. Okay, well, can't quite find what I was looking for, but I found something adjacent that should do just as well. So anyway, and it might sound weird, like you're thankful for things that are come out this year, but see, I don't consume new content, new stories, new music. I don't care. It's all going to be, chances are, there's 99% chance that it's going to be crap if it's new, if it's something people put out recently. Of course there are exceptions. That's why I'm doing this stream. I'm going to talk about some of the exceptions from this year, but that's just the default attitude I have to go into it as a customer, as somebody who's figuring out what I want to spend my money on. I just think it's really silly to have this notion, well, I got to watch it all to see if it's good. Oh, that's something new. Okay, I'll watch that and see if it's good. Oh, that's something new here. I'll read that and see if it's good. Why do I want to do that? Because chances are I'll read a whole lot of garbage or watch a whole lot of crap, just subpar storytelling over and over and over again. And that does affect you, especially as somebody, as a writer myself. I say this about anybody. You are you are the stories that you consume. They do affect you. They affect your morals, your values, your psychology. You just can't help it. That's the way it works. No, it doesn't affect me. Whatever, it does. But especially writers, especially, musicians, you guys will know this too, music-wise. If you're listening to a bunch of subpar music all the time, that's going to weasel its way into your subconscious. As writers, we need to read widely and often, so that we can have a lot of inspiration and see how things are done and get our mind thinking about the storytelling process. And that gets us in gear, for what we want to write. And not that you're plagiarizing, but it just helps, and And so if you're, constantly reading or watching subpar stories, it's just not gonna help. Now there are how I get around to giving a try to something new then is, first of all, if it's a tried and true author or director or whatever who just truly has never let me down. And let me down, I don't mean like they've never done something I wasn't interested in, or they never created a story that I wasn't. That's not what I mean. I mean, they never really sacrificed the art of storytelling to the altar of the woke. That's something I'll appreciate. That's why I went to go see Beetlejuice when it came out, even though the end product was kind of, Tim Burton, to my knowledge, had never sacrificed his what he wanted to do to the altar of the woke. I don't really know about the Wednesday series. I've never watched it. It's not something that's interesting to me. I love the Addams Family, but I'm just not really interested in a Addams Family version of Nancy Drew. Just this is not interesting to me. So I just never gave that one a chance. So I don't know what that one's like. But anyway. So that brings me to my first one. So and I talked about this last year when the first one came out, but when I found out that John Jackson Miller was writing a new story in the Batman 89, the Burtonverse, I was super excited. And this was a leap of faith. Not this one. It was Resurrection, the first one that he wrote that came out first. That was a leap of faith for me because I had previously, as I said, I'd read the Sam Hamm comics, and Sam Hamm's somebody who wrote the script for the first one. So you might think, oh, well, that should be really great. And those comics were awful, just crap. And but John Jackson Miller, he's blown me away enough with all of the Star Wars stuff he did. I just really love his writing that I thought there's just no way. There's no way. And I was paying attention to the marketing of this book, and I was paying attention to any interviews he did. And if they gave me any hint that this was going to be a platform for social politics or whatever, I was going to be out. But he didn't. He just promoted the work, and it was a solid work. Resurrection was amazing, and Revolution is a step up from Resurrection, I think, personally. I think this is a much better book than Resurrection was. So great seeing what he did with the Riddler. So cool. Norman Pincus is this Riddler character. You got Killer Moth in here. The Archer, the old villain from the Batman 66 show. They do a new spin on that. Just solid stuff. As I said last stream, I will say again, though, so I'm thankful that Miller's still putting out these books. I hope he's putting out another one. I hope he puts out many more. And as I said last stream, I truly hope that they cut the continuity. They break off Miller's continuity from Sam Hamm's comics continuity. Because Hamm doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to tell a story. He's just throwing a bunch of crap out there and preaching, and it's crap. But Miller is doing great work, but Miller's forced to kind of include, even though this stuff takes place long before supposedly what the stuff in Sam Hamm's comics is supposed to take place. Every now and then, like, Miller has to kind of slow the pace of the book. Like, for example, apparently in the most recent comics that Sam Hamm was doing, he introduced a character who was supposed to be the Riddler. You like see him for a moment. He's in like Arkham Asylum. I forget the name, Maynard something or another. And that was supposed to be the Riddler, Well, then John Jackson Miller found out that, John Jackson Miller was writing the book for Revolution, introducing his own Riddler. And they found out that Sam Hamm had already introduced one. So he has to, there's a little scene in here where Maynard, the guy in Arkham Asylum, is like watching the TV to watch this first Riddler or real Riddler or whatever. It's a useless scene. The character never comes back. It just lags down the pacing of this. It's only there for people to see, the continuities are connected. And there are a couple little things like that, even in Resurrection. You had a little tiny scene with the would-be soon Robin or whatever guy, Drake. And it bogs down these stories. It bogs down the book. Not in a way that kills the story in any way or possible. So it's not like, because that scene ruined the book. No. It's nothing. It's here and it's gone. But just little things like that. Miller is way more respectful of the Burtonverse, knows the Burtonverse a lot better than Sam Hamm, the guy who even wrote the script for the first movie. You can tell that he's a super fan, and he knows what he's doing. He knows the spirit of the characters. It's rocking. It's just an amazing book. So definitely recommend that. You were looking for recommendations for Books a Millions. If you haven't read this yet, pick it up. It's great. Very cool. So yeah, and some of you guys will know some things that came out that I just never got around to reading, which are seeing yet, or if I even do. But like, so somebody, if I know an author like Miller is behind something, I'll give that a chance. Sometimes though, something comes out and you hear great things, or the authors or creators are saying great things. I'm just still not sold. So, and give me an example. I'm saying this came out this year because it was shipped this year. I think the stories were actually, previous years. But there was a campaign out that was trying to get people interested in the new Thundercat comics. I couldn't care less about the new Thundercat comics. Some people have said, oh, they're trying to be really loyal to the original cartoon and they're doing blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. And I saw a campaign. I'll show you what I actually got from the campaign. But the campaign came with these, a couple of comics that were just part of the extras or whatever. I think this one is about Snarf or Chitara or something like that. I don't know. I just don't care. And now, if I'm going to keep my eye on it, okay? If the whole run comes out, let's say it's released in a graphic novel at some point, and enough people that I trust say no, that story was solid. That story really did stay true to the character. Then I'll read it. I don't have this sort of FOMO about new stuff. I don't need to be there on the ground floor and read it as soon as it comes out. No, I'd much rather wait until later when I know I'm not going to get burned and then buy it. So if these end up coming out and enough people tell me that the story's finished and it's great, wonderful. The thing I ordered just came with these for free, but actually also came with some of these cards, these original little art style cards from the first show and everything, which are pretty cool. But what I got from the campaign was this, which I'm psyched about. Classic Years Collection. The Thundercat, all the old classic comics that were coming out, when the cartoon was still on even. I mean, it starts out telling the story, the whole story of the Thundercats, even tells some stories of the episodes, but in a more fleshed out way, which is great. It's just it's so great. It's a nice hardcover. It's nice and thick. I'm psyched about this. I'm going to dig into this hard after the new year, I think. But they're when they're first crash landing on Third Earth, love it. This is solid. So I'm very excited about this and thankful that this came out. Even though technically these stories are from the 80s, this edition was new. Just got to me a little while ago, and I'm super excited about this from Dynamite Comics. Very excited about that. I'm just not interested in the 2000s Thundercats. I know some people are like, how dare you? That was the one I grew up on. And that's fine. I'm not against the 2000s Thundercats. But for me, it took away all of the things from the original cartoon that I thought really made it interesting. Like having them stranded on Third Earth, coming from Thundera, but stranded on Third Earth. That was so much more interesting. That was a fascinating plot point. And they're having to make peace with the different beings and races on the Third Earth, which is basically Earth as we know it, Earth, but like off in the future or something. Because Third Earth, we're the third planet from the sun, the Third Earth. And I think that's so great. And the 2000s one just went a totally different direction and changed a lot of the relationships and things. And I'm just not interested. Again, I don't think it's bad. It's just not for me. So a lot of people's like, but you got to talk about that. You got to talk. I'm like, I don't want to. Let me change gears for a sec. Well, actually, let me get a super chat here before I go any further. And then I'll mention a couple more things. Divinatal Kayan, thank you so much for the super chat there. Said for the chat to recommend them, check out the trailer for White Bear King Valorna. Oh, Valmon. Or Valmon. I don't know. Norwegian movie that's in the Disney style based off similar tale to East of the Sun, West of the Moon. Never heard of it. A Norwegian film. That's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to keep my eyes out for that, or I'll check out the trailer later. White Bear King Valmon. Probably pronouncing that wrong. But thank you for turning my head to that. I'll check out the trailer later. I'm guessing you said in the solid Disney, so I'm guessing it's like an animated film or whatever, for kids or whatever too. But that's cool. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Gentle Savage talking about the Space Ghost comics. I still need to read the Dynamite Space Ghost comics. I haven't read those yet. Those were from a while ago. But I love Space Ghost, and I absolutely love the Future Quest comics by Jeff Parker. When DC they still had Hanna-Barbera and they were doing their last hurrah. All of their Hanna-Barbera properties were crap. It was taking these beloved fun cartoons and trying to do gritty new versions of them, except for Jeff Parker. He and blanking on the artist that he worked with, great artist, but they took the leftover properties, like they were doing a Flintstones, like look at they have arranged marriages and look at their primitive culture. It was dumb. Scooby-Doo was like in the apocalypse, just stupid stuff. But Jeff Parker got all of the leftover properties. So it was Johnny Quest, Birdman, Space Ghost, the Herculoids, all of these, Frankenstein Jr. even, it was great. Thundar, all of those characters, and they told this really cool story with all of these characters and this sort of universe crossing. It was a lot of fun, and they did some spin-offs. Some other people wrote some spin-off comics for a little bit before they canceled it, but that was fun. But yeah, those Dynamite comics are always on my list to go back and read. Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit though, let me get to some music here, because you guys know I love my rock. And I haven't really talked about, I was going to talk about it on my Outnauts channel, but I never got around to making it, so busy with getting back into school. The great Alice Cooper, the original 4 members of the Alice Cooper band, got back together. Glenn Buxton sadly passed away some time ago, their lead guitarist, but the original 4 members got back together and they made a killer comeback album. This album is so solid. Go look up the first single off of it was Black Mamba. It is amazing. It's so much fun. They rock the heck out of this. They got a new, they got some old tracks by Glenn Buxton, the old recordings that they had with him on here with, but they got another guitarist, and I forget his name. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but from Nashville, a young guy who fills in kind of what would do the Glenn Buxton parts, or what would be the Glenn Buxton parts. And it's amazing. It is a solid album. The Revenge of Alice Cooper. Very cool. It was so great to get some new music that I could actually listen to and enjoy, and was good. That was great. And keeping with the music theme there, Sammy Hagar, The Best of All Worlds. This was the residency that he did a whole tour. Sammy Hagar got together with Michael Anthony, the original bassist from Van Halen, that's been doing a lot of stuff with Sammy in the Circle and stuff like that since then. And Chickenfoot, obviously can't throw that out. Then he got Joe Satriani, the great shredder Joe Satriani, guitarist, who can play those old Van Halen parts. And then originally he had Jason Bonham, the drummer, a drummer from Zeppelin, okay, is John Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, who did hook back up with them and played some reunion tours and stuff. So technically you can say he's a Zeppelin drummer, and he's constantly doing Zeppelin stuff himself, Jason Bonham. But he was their drummer in the Circle that they had, that band, and he was with them on this tour. They did a whole tour, The Best of All Worlds, of course, which is a play on The Best of Both Worlds, that great Van Halen song. So it was a way to pay honor to Eddie Van Halen, and it was a way to just celebrate all the music from all the eras. And they eventually settled down and they did a residency in Vegas. Now, at that point, Jason Bonham had to go back to London, some family stuff or whatever. So they got Kenny Aronoff. Kenny Aronoff is a freaking amazing drummer. I first heard him with John Mellencamp back in the day in the 90s. He played with Smashing Pumpkins. He plays with just about everybody. Kenny Aronoff is a monster behind the drum set. And he fills in right. He picks up right where Jason Bonham left off and nails those drums. It's great. This has, I'll show you the track list. This is a live album. It's got the performances from that residency, but it also includes Encore, Thank You, Good Night, which was the new song that Sammy Hagar wrote with Joe Satriani's help. About Van Halen. Sammy Hagar had this dream that Eddie Van Halen came to him in a dream and was writing a song with him. So he woke up and he was like jotting down the chords and the structures and whatnot. And I should mention too, oh crap, what's his name? Oh, don't let me forget his name. He's so great. He never gets mentioned enough. Those are the 4 major ones there. What's his name? There's a guy that plays keyboard a lot for Joe Satriani on his solo stuff. And Thistlethwaite, Ray Thistlethwaite. Good, I remembered it. Ray Thistlethwaite. He plays guitar, sings, and does keyboards, and he's backing them up there. There's Thistlethwaite there. He has a great band too. I think is he Australian or New Zealand? But he has a nice band too that was pretty good. But anyway, that's he backs him up with vocals and keyboards and some rhythm guitar when they need it. So that was really great. And it's a solid recording. These songs are great. So yeah, they've got they do Panama, Summer Nights, because when they do these songs, Michael Anthony sings the songs from the Roth era. So you got Michael Anthony singing some of those songs. Panama, Summer Nights, There's Only One Way to Rock. He's got all eras, all things from Sammy Hagar's career. I don't know if they do any Chickenfoot songs. They should. That'd have been cool. Humans Being, that great song they did from Twister. So some like deep tracks that you might not play. And then some of the ones they always play Right Now, 5150, Pound Cake, Ain't Talking About Love, Eagles Fly, Best of Both Worlds, Why Can't This Be Love, Rock Candy, great song from the old Montrose days. Mas Tequila, another classic Sammy Hagar, Heavy Metal, I Can't Drive 55, and then Love Walks In. So it's got some really solid tracks on it. So I was excited about, at least 2 CDs that came out this year, new content that I was able to enjoy. So then finally, I think this came out. Was this year or was it? Yeah, this was 225. It was like the beginning of the year. I'm loving from Compass Comics, Graham Nolan's Joe Frankenstein run, and Volume 3 just came out this year. It's a fun story. Again, the whole story came out once under a different publisher back in the day, but they've revamped it a lot, and they're issuing it out just like one story at a time with the revamped version, and it's great. What I was looking for though is Monster Island Volume 3 just came to me like a couple weeks ago as well, and I was super excited about that. So yeah. Anyway, Graham Nolan's. I'm still waiting. I can't remember. I think it was this last year too. I just couldn't put my hands on it. But Cyberfrog, there was a little part of the story came out of that too. It's not one of the main books. It's not one of the main story, but Ethan Esquiver will release these little like supplementals, like telling little parts of the story in between and whatnot. That was good, but I can't. I think it's over with my Cyberfrog stuff that I couldn't quite reach. Dark Harvest. Yeah, thank you, Sound Engraver. Dark Harvest was the name of that. I missed some comics, but who dares say Alice Cooper isn't good? Alice Cooper's great. Samuel probably drank for the obligatory Alice Cooper shout out. If it's my channel, I'm going to shout out Alice Cooper. Very true. Very true. Yeah, I freaking love Alice Cooper. I would love for the Hollywood Vampires to put out a new album. I was bummed, I was super excited because technically the way they're billing it, there's new Aerosmith music, guys. It's new Aerosmith. It's not. With that guy Youngblood, who I guess is somebody the kids are watching on their TikToks or whatever, I'm just not all that impressed with, but whatever. He sings fine. But they did a couple songs, like a little collaboration, and it's billed as Aerosmith with Youngblood. It's not Aerosmith. It's Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. That's not Aerosmith. That's Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. Call them the Toxic Twins if you want or whatever. That's not Aerosmith. They're freaking amazing, and that's great. Bill them as they are, and that's something to maybe pay attention to, but it's not Aerosmith unless you have at least Tom Hamilton and Brad Whitford in there as well. Technically, you should have Joey Kramer, but he did step down from playing because of some medical issues or whatever. So, okay, I can understand if Joey Kramer's not a part of it. But you get Brad Whitford and Tom Hamilton in there as well, or it's not Aerosmith. Don't even try to insult me and tell me it's Aerosmith. And I dearly love Aerosmith. They are just, man, they're freaking awesome. I listen to them all the time. They were a huge band for me back in the day too. And Tom Hamilton's bass playing severely influenced mine. I mean, I'm super, thrilled about any bass line I can listen to from Tom Hamilton. And they're not even a part of it. And they kind of, the Toxic Twins. No, not the Saska sisters, Mr. T-Man. Back in the day before they got sober, Perry and Tyler, they usually had a shirt like the Toxic Twins. That was one of the words they called the two of them on stage together. And then they just kind of embraced the title, So, yeah. Oh, my dear Sound Engraver. Very true. 5 stories by Michael Kreitzer released this year. All very good. I hear Secondhand Sunset by MJ McKenzie's good too. That's right. These are our short stories that we released on Amazon. I just released my most recent one a couple weeks ago, and she released an excellent story. We talked about that. Secondhand Sunset. There's a great sci-fi story from her there. But yeah, these are on Amazon short reads. I'm about to release another one this week. I think by Thanksgiving I'll have or the Thanksgiving weekend. I'll have it's called Black Lace 101. It's a pretty fun story. So that'll be released too. And again, once I get about three more out, and I have 10 that I've released, I'll put them together as a paperback and put that on Amazon as well. I did not know about this, General Savage. There's a new Witcher book, a prequel about a young Geralt. That'd be pretty fascinating. Is it by the same author? Now, even though it's by the same author, that doesn't necessarily, I'm blanking on his name right now, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm trusted implicitly, because Sapkowski, that was his name, he he went some silly places with the Witcher novels overall. He got way too invested in Ciri. It became a Ciri story instead of a Geralt story. Ciri's a great character. Love when she came in, love the father-daughter dynamic, love it. Um, but after the first, 2, 3 novels, kind of like, yeah, I'll just switch to the games continuity after that, or the comics continuity. They were pretty good. But he did, after he finished up the whole, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way everything, he kind of tied everything together by the end. He did put out, what was the name of that novel? Something about the sword, which was a Witcher novel that took place kind of like, it was almost like a soft reboot. Like it took place before any of that stuff that happened at the end of his continuity, but it also kind of spun it in a way that maybe this is a new continuity. Maybe that stuff won't even happen. We don't know. And I like that. And that was the last thing I read by him, which was something he'd done since the stuff that I thought was and I like that. So I'd be interested in giving it a chance. Sword of Destiny. Yeah, I think that was the one. So I'd be interested in giving anything new he wrote a chance if it's young Geralt. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know that. I have to look that up. The Witcher comics were great. I've got my nice do I have a hardcover? No, I forgot. But I got volume 1, the omnibus of the comics, and I need to get volume 2 of that omnibus too. But I like the comics because they really do adhere a little more towards the game continuity than they do the novels, which I kind of prefer. And you'll have story arcs. They're not in any kind of order. You'll just get a writer will come in and do a story arc from this period in the continuity, and then another writer. So you might be reading a story about Geralt and Ciri out doing Witcher stuff together. And then the next story is about Geralt before he even met Ciri or something like that. But I thought those were great. They were really fun. Yeah, Ace is talking about that. Yeah, Santa Graver, maybe you can throw the links in to my author page and yours or whatever for all those. But yeah, it's just digital reads right now, which you can read it on a Kindle, but you don't have to have a Kindle. You can just read it from there. And there's like $2-3. Mine anyway, they're short reads, and everyone's at least under 10 pages or right around 10 pages, because that's the punch that I like to give with a nice short tail. And I got about 3 more to put out before I feel like I can put them into a paperback and then put those on Amazon as well. But yeah, Sound Engraver's working on that. Appreciate that. Yeah, standalone Witcher stories were great. I mean, that's how the novel started out. It was a collection of short stories, basically. And that's where that universe really shines. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have continuity. I like continuity. I like being able to read, a story that comes a little bit later after the events that you'd read about him and Dandelion and this earlier story. That's great. But once he got into writing novels and he was in his epic and the story of Ciri, Ciri became an unlikable character. Even Triss kind of became an unlikable character in the novels. And I liked her a lot. I just think the games took the coolness that he came up with, which again, he was getting a lot of it from, was it Eldrick of Melbourne or whatever, if I'm saying that right. But I think the games just took a lot of the fun stuff from the Witcher books and put it in a better universe, a better continuity. I'm not really interested at all in the new Witcher game because that's supposedly going to be all about Ciri. Geralt's over now. Geralt's retired. Ciri. Maybe it'll be cool, but I'm not chomping at the bit. I'm not going to be there on opening day. Witcher 3. Witcher 1 is a little hard to play these days. It was just made for the computers back in the day when video games were really kind of blossoming technologically wise, getting into it. It's a little hard to play. I have played it. I finished it. You can get it for little or nothing on Steam. It's very simple. It doesn't take up any space in your computer because it's such an old game. And the story's cool. Witcher 2, a lot of fun. Big leap forward. I've got that for the Xbox. Witcher 3, that's just like, that'll forever go down in the books. Like that's right up there with Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the greatest video games ever made. I mean, talk about immersion, really immersing yourself. That is so freaking great. And I can just keep playing Witcher 3 over and over again. It's you can get different endings. You got the little extra content. You make these decisions on this time. You can get these. It's great. So yeah, Seneca put the link. Those looks like the link to my stories there, and then she's going to drop the link to hers on too. Nathaniel Loseball, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. You said, seeking a father figure dynamics, I still would love to hear your take on Kong's journeys in the New Empire. I mentioned last time the movie showed through Kong that there is strength and kindness. Yeah, the New Empire, that's the last movie, right? That's what you're talking about. The one where well, I mean, even in Godzilla versus Kong, you already had the start of that relationship with him and the little girl, the deaf girl. But yeah, in New Empire, he comes up, he meets the Kong Junior, character, and you're right. It would be a great sort of analysis. I don't think I'm interested in doing it as its own lone video. Maybe one day, I don't know. But Kong meets this little young punk, of a Kong who is it reminded me a little bit of Batman meeting Jason Todd for the first time. This little punk who stole the wheels off the Batmobile, and as a great father figure, there's hard boundaries you lay down. No, you're not doing that, this and that. But that it's not just about harsh uh, discipline. There is kindness and compassion, like you said there, and he takes that little young Kong under his wing, and it's great. And that young Kong is the one rooting for him, and wants to go up against the Scarface guy and everything. So, yeah, it was great. I like that a lot. I've only seen New Empire once though. I have to rewatch it again. I'd love to get Sound Engraver to watch those monster movies with me sometime. She really would like them if she sat and watched them with me. But I say monster movies are completely different. They're not monster like horror monster, but monster like King Kong, Godzilla monster. So yeah. Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys picking those up. Yeah, they're like I said, it's a series of stories called Objects of Desire, and the premise, and they get a little adult sometime. I won't lie, but the premise, the theme throughout all of them is a quote by Bishop Fulton Sheen, which I think you probably heard other people say at different times or whatever, but saying that we must learn to love people and use things, because the problem with today's culture is that we love things and we use people. And so I love that sentiment. And so I did this series of stories which are about the consequences or what happens when couples try to use one another. So there are all types of different couples, different age groups, married, boyfriend, girlfriend, stalker, stalky. I mean, a dating situation, all kinds of things like that in there that that explore that theme. And I had fun writing them. So, and Sound Engraver's story is solid sci-fi, truly solid sci-fi. If you like science fiction, especially classic old science fiction, like Asimov, Bradbury, those kind of good, solid, feels like you're watching an episode of the classic Outer Limits or something like that. You'll like Sound Engraver's story. It's really great. She's going to be getting out more soon. Darth Enigma, thank you so much for the $2 there. Said monsters versus horror versus terror. Yeah, I mean, the labels are all kind of confusing. I don't like saying monster. I know they call it the monster verse for Godzilla and Kong and stuff like that, and I get it. That's fine. I don't like calling those movies monster movies though, because to me, a monster movie is like Frankenstein, werewolves, that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's a difference between horror and terror, like you said. Boris Karloff said that the best, I think. As I said, horror is oh my gosh, there's an axe wielding maniac painted in blood with somebody's head in his hand. Terror is somebody's in the house right now and they're trying to find you. Keep your voice down. And that's way more fun for a person reading or watching the story. Terror. It's suspense. Yep. Happy early Thanksgiving to you guys as well, Samuel Proctor. All right. Wow, I just looked at the clock. I was about to say, I don't know if I've got anything else to talk about. And I looked up at the clock and it clicked 1 hour. It's like my brain and my social energy and anything I have to talk about, it just knows. It knows when 1 hour clicks. I mean, if you guys have any last minute, comments or things you want to talk about, sure, that's fine. But yeah, I agree, Ace Moic. You say I hear suspense and I immediately think Hitchcock. Well, Hitchcock is the master of suspense. Man, I have done so many deep dives into Hitchcock. I really got interested in him in some film classes I took in high school back in the day. And I've taken some college courses on his work. He was a master storyteller, truly a master storyteller. And man, you can learn so much from him. He's just fascinating. He, the idea of the MacGuffin, which is integral for good mystery suspense storytelling, and his what he learned about how you need to treat the audience, when you need to give them a bit of relief, when you need to rank up, twist the screws, so to speak. It's great. You can't go wrong watching a good Hitchcock movie. And a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Trivia. Can't want to say trilogy. No, trivia. Rear Window, which is one of my favorite Hitchcock films. My daughter loves Alvin and the Chipmunks. I've started out showing her all the 80s cartoons that I watched with them, and she goes back and watches the original. We got the Christmas album going now, for Christmas and stuff, a couple Christmas albums they put out and everything. But she even likes the Nickelodeon ones they did in a more recent way. But in Rear Window, remember there's the he's watching all the neighbors, and there's that one woman, they call her Miss Lonely Heart, who's stood up by dates a couple times, and they're watching her, they're kind of feeling bad for her, and then above her there's this pianist, this musician, who's trying to write this composition for whatever, and Miss Lonely Heart ends up going to see the pianist, and they get together, and it's kind of a nice little ending there. Well, that guy who plays the pianist, who's playing the piano and trying to write out his composition, that's the original Dave who created the Alvin and the Chipmunks back in the day. It's the guy who did the witch doctor first with that kind of sound effect, and then they used that sound effect for the Chipmunks. And so that's the original Dave from Alvin and the Chipmunks in that movie, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Rear Windows, fantastic storytelling, all in one enclosed set. I mean, Hitchcock is really amazing at making the Aristotelian unities work for you, instead of being a set of rigid rules that you have to adhere to, that sometimes the story can suffer for, because you're not telling a play, you're telling a movie. You can go to different places if you need to, but he knows how to, if it's going to be something like North by Northwest, where there's a lot of travel involved, he'll maintain that time unity easily, so he knows how to really work those to his best. And Rear Windows, an example of using the unity of space and the unity of time so well. Really solid. Great. Dave Seville. Yeah, that's his name. All right. Well, I'm tapped out on this one, but enjoyed hanging out with you guys and chatting. Hopefully, if you haven't picked up any of the stuff I talked about, I do recommend them if you like them too. I don't know if you can still get Thundercats, but I'm so happy I did. I'm sure you could probably still buy it. I mean, somewhere, but I just got it from the campaign, and I'm so excited about rolling through these, because I love the original cartoon, but I think the cartoon itself went off the rails in the second season. As soon as New Thundera came in, that was a dumb idea. When they bring in New Thundera and half of the Thundercats go back to that and half the Thundercats stay on Third Earth, that was a stupid idea. Really stupid idea. Bring in the Lunatics, that's fine. They're cool. But stop with the whole New Thundera thing. That's where I feel like the original series went off the rails. So I'm hoping this does the story a little bit more justice, because I've never read all the comics all through. So I'm excited about that. All right, folks. Well, I hope you guys have a great, relaxing week. I know many of you still have to work and stuff. You're not all teachers in the academic world where you can have the week off, but still have grading to do. Don't hate me too much. Still got a little work to do, but I don't have to teach. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll put out a video or two before then, and then I'll come back for a Thanksgiving weekend. And I don't know what we'll talk about then. We can talk about Thanksgiving tomorrow if you want, or maybe the coming of Advent or something like that. But we'll get in some more story talk and some good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for all the well wishes. Hope you have a wonderful week as well. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue Halloween stories you love, or Thanksgiving, whatever. Sorry, I was looking at the time and it said 56. I was like, wait, I thought it was an hour. I don't know. I thought we were an hour. We're close enough to an hour. Anyway, bye.